Call the regular Montague City Council meeting to order. If we could do roll call, please.
Jerry Wonders.
Here.
Lisa Keel.
Present.
Susan Newhoff.
Yes.
Robert Hires.
Here.
Laura McGuire.
Here.
Paul Schultz is not here. Mayor Mullen.
Here. You could have a motion to excuse Paul.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I invite the audience to stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have been given an agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda? For a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda for the evening. Number 5 on the agenda is public comment about any agenda items. We will go into a public hearing about the budget, but if there's any other general business items that you'd like to talk about, please let me know. Okay, moving on to number 6, approval of consent agenda items.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items, including regular bills paid in the amount of $143,508.95, including $260 past due others.
Support.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Newhoff.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGuire.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders.
Yes.
Councilman Hires.
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel.
Yes.
Mayor Mullen.
Yes. Number 7A, Jeff.
7A, this is a request from Pound Buddies for their fundraiser activities down at the Artisan Market Village. So this is part of the First Friday's events. If you remember, we had 3 approvals for the Killer Blues Headstone Project. So this was the one Friday that they could not do it. Pound Buddies would like to be the nonprofit for that evening. So council would need to approve the special license application. Included in your packet is all the information for that license. Chief Johnson has reviewed and approved from local law enforcement standpoint. Just needs final approval from the council.
I move that we approve the request. Support.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Newhoff.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGuire.
Yes.
Councilman Hires.
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders.
Yes.
Mayor Mullen.
Yes. Number 7B, Jeff.
Social district writ from Jimmy's Pub. So included in your packet was the request for approval. JCA Enterprises, doing business as Jimmy's Pub, has submitted all their information to become part of the social district. So looking at the map, that includes the last and final. So North Grove Council has approved, Vino Ilago, which is Book Nook, and Java Shop has been approved, Sawyer's Brewing was approved, so JCA Enterprises is the last one as an establishment within the social district. Later on in the meeting, you'll see a resolution for opening up the social district. This is separate. This is just to get the license approval from the state to be part of the social district.
I move that we approve the permit for Jimmy's Pub for the social district.
Support.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman McGuire.
Yes.
Councilman Hires.
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders.
Yes.
Councilwoman Newhoff.
Yes.
Mayor Mullen.
Yes. Number 7C.
7C is simply needing approval from the council for public distribution of the draft master plan. So Planning Commission has approved the draft plan. So this is for public review, goes out for 63 days. All those comments are then taken in by McKenna, our contractor, to then integrate or look at how that impacts the master plan. What happens after this is Planning Commission then takes those comments, makes final changes, they do a final approval and recommendation for council, and then it would come back in final form. As part of that process, they will also create an avenue for people to provide public comments online. There is digital copies available. We'll have hard copies available for review in office. So simply need council approval to move this for public distribution.
I move that we approve it for public distribution.
Support.
Laura? Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Newhoff,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGuire,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders,
Yes.
Councilman Hires,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel,
Yes.
Mayor Holman.
Yes. And again, copies of that are available up on the website, or they will be?
Will be on the website. Yep,
Okay. Or you can get, I believe, a hard copy here too.
correct.
Okay. 7D,
7D, Resolution 2023-04, MDOT Wilcox contract approval. So this is kind of final step as they move towards awarding the bid contracts for the Wilcox Street project. You can see it's a very simple resolution. Basically, one state affirms the two commitments between the state and the city. We included as part of that resolution on the last page is the obligations for that project. So this is just for the construction cost. You can see total estimated cost, $205,700. Of that, $168,365 will be coming from the state, which are federal funds. The city's balance then is $37,335. What this does not show is the engineering cost, but that's been part of our budget process. But this is to finalize that contract so we can continue to move forward with the project.
questions or comments or a motion?
Make a motion to approve the Wilcox Street project contract.
Support.
Now, is there any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Wonders,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGuire,
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Newhoff,
Yes.
Councilman Hires,
Yes.
Mayor Holman.
Yes. Number 7E, Jeff?
70, Resolution 2023-05, opening of the Montague Social District. So staff put together a resolution to formally open that. That was part of the management plan itself. So the wording here related to that was the city shall establish the opening date of the social district upon completion of certain construction activities within the commons area, installation of applicable signage, and establishment of boundary delineations. No business shall participate in the commons area until that date. So having said that, we put together the attached resolution. I'll just read kind of the final therefore. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Montague does hereby open the Montague Social District on Friday, June 30th, 2023 at 5 p.m., pending final installation of applicable signage and sidewalk demarcations. I would also note as part of this, there are still a lot of loose ends that we're looking at kind of tidying up, but without something moving it forward, then those kind of still sit in the wings. Pending, if this is approved, I want to talk through one other item related to the actual cups, because council also has to, by consensus, set a cup charge. So if the district's approved, we can kind of do that afterward.
For Jimmy's, doesn't it have to go to the state and be approved before it can open the social
Yes.
district?
Yep.
So we can't open it on June 30th unless the state gets back to you on Jimmy's.
Correct? Yep. So they have, usually the state's been approving those within 10 days, and that's not a guarantee.
So if it isn't approved by June 30th,
And
then
it could be the date that it's, like, they get approval, and it could open the day after that.
we won't have to vote on it again
No.
or anything like that.
No, this would be the soonest that it would open, is that
Okay.
date. Following, so if we get everything, the demarcations up, the signage up, they get final approval from the state, and tie up those last few loose ends, and that opens. If not, then we kind of wait till those last items are completed. So I want the council to feel comfortable doing this. Like I said, there's lots of stuff to do, but at least gives us a timeline to kind of head towards.
Other questions or comments?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would just make a motion that we approve the resolution 2023-5 for the opening of the Montague Social District.
Support.
Now, is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman McGuire?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders?
Yes.
Councilman Hires?
Yes.
Councilwoman Newhoff?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Yes. And you were going on to something else, Jeff?
Yep, so the other item associated with that, this again is part of the management agreement. City council shall establish a per cup charge. Cost of the cups and per cup charge shall be collected prior to ordering cups for individual businesses. So city has done their side of it, so it looks like the city logo, but it says Montague Social District on it. The requirement from the business is on the back side then to have a sticker with their logo or establishment name on there. It will cost, right now, because there is a setup fee, will cost the city 42 to 48 cents per cup. So then the business has to pay for that in order to use it. Per cup charge, so the council could also set a fee above that, so that we recoup some funds to pay for the amenities that we're providing in the social district. So if you remember, both in the DDA and also in the council, the general fund, altogether there's about $40,000 that the city is expending to kind of get this up and running. So if that is $1 a cup, again, this is passed on to the people that are participating, not to the business. So they pay, the business pays the cup charge, they pass that on to the people participating. So this just has to be by consensus what the council feels that charge should be per cup.
Do you know what that per cup charge will drop to now that setup's done?
It also will depend on quantity. So we did initial 10,000 cups. We'll see how it goes, how long that lasts. Obviously, once you start doubling that, the price starts going in half. You can get down to like 17 cents per cup, depending on quantities.
So that price could be changed in the future?
Could be. Yep.
And what about the stickers for each establishment?
Those would be on the business. Again, I did some research, and you can get stickers, a roll of 5,000 stickers for 4 cents a sticker.
I can't remember this, it's been so long since we talked about this, but they can only take a cup. You can't take a can or a bottle of beer or
Right.
anything, right? It has to be in one of these cups. Okay.
Yep. Yep, and if it's, so if somebody buys at Sawyer's, it's got a Sawyer's sticker on it, and they can only consume it in Sawyer's or in the social district. They can't take it into one of the other businesses, get a refill, and then go back out. So each time they get a new drink from another business, they have to get a new cup.
And they use the same cup if they go back to the same business?
They can,
They can?
if it's the same business.
Oh, it's not like a salad bar where you can't use the same
Right.
cup.
Well, and then it's really up to the business whether they want to honor that. Yeah.
Yeah, typical of social districts where each business uses their own cups and doesn't use any others.
So they have to use their own cup for their business, so you can't go between businesses.
Have you done any kind of analysis to figure what we should charge just to get our money back, and then we could drop it after that?
I think to start, $1 a cup, so that's 50 cents. So even with the first sale of 10,000 cups, that's only 5,000 back towards the 40. But if over time, if it's 50 cents a cup moving forward, so at some point their cup fee might be 65, 70, 75 cents, then the cost go down depending on volume.
Well, once it takes place, we'll actually have numbers, we'll know how to calculate everything right now.
Correct.
In some industry.
Right. Could sell 100 cups, we could sell 10,000 in the first year. Yeah.
And any thought about whether that adding $1 to the cost of something is going to impact business?
I have no idea.
I don't think the city should eat the cost.
No, but they don't have the right to order them themselves either.
No.
I mean, it's not like they can say, okay, I'm gonna
No.
go look for a deal, they have to get
No.
them from us.
But hopefully over time it can be lower, but I think initially we need to get some money back.
Any suggestions or discussion about a price? I think Jeff mentioned $1.
It seems fair to me as long as it's reduced once we get
It's
this
okay.
population's money back. I don't think the constituents should foot the bill.
I mean, really, a lot of the people will probably stay at the one place they're drinking and then they can refill it anyway. I would think.
Is there a motion or other discussion?
I move that we accept the $1 per cup charge
Support.
based on further information, and then we can change it.
I support it.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Hires,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGuire,
No,
Councilwoman Newhoff,
No.
Councilwoman Keel,
yes.
Mayor Loman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 8 in the agenda is public hearing for the budget. We need a motion to open the public hearing.
So,
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed? We have a public hearing open for the budget. Jeff, how are we going to do this? You're going to go through B,
Yep.
B presentation?
So I'll do a kind of presentation, talk about the resolutions, and then take public comment. Most of this was already discussed at the work session, so it's not a lot of detail, but I did want to give kind of a summary of what was discussed. Again, there were a couple priority budget items, those again being utilizing that fund balance to stabilize cash flow for the current year, and also allowing positioning for projects. Utilize the balance to initiate park subcommittee recommendations, those improvements in deferred maintenance projects, and then also closely monitor fund balance and cash on hand. Again, it's proposed that staff is proposing to take the millage from 16.4 to 16.15, so reducing the millage by 0.25 mils. This generates about $1.25 million for the general fund. Also included in that is local community stabilization, which is about $550,000, and then all additional constitutional sales tax distribution of $221,000. So this is the tax rate request form. So this is showing city requesting 16.15. You can note that maximum allowable millage levy based on Headley 16.8049, so well below that. The original approval that the city had as part of the charter was 20 mils, so looking to continue to work towards decreasing that. Overall general fund revenues, 33% comes from state, 47% from the local taxes and millages, and then 20% from all others. So that's other grants, activities, revenue coming in, appropriations going out. Majority of that, so this is within general fund, is within the police department, and that's because that's where their entire budget lies. It can't go to any other fund, so 33% police department, 19% general government, so city hall activities. You can see transfer to other funds, so that's transfers to street projects, water projects, etc., so 10%. Still have about 5% for debt service, 3% for other miscellaneous services provided across the general fund itself. Public services, so these are activities that we perform directly for the public. This might be like the senior millage fund, so those public services going back out. 18% for parks and 5% for cemeteries. So again, this is all just within the general fund itself, doesn't include those other funds. The appropriation distribution, about 39, so just under 40% is for staffing, so this is across all funds. 25% for major projects and activities. Still allocating about 7% for pension and health care, so long-term contributions, and then about 30% for operations and supplies. As far as the actual staffing, police department and public works each about 35%, so all told 70%. The balance of that 30% is for city hall staffing. This includes not only the cost of living increase of the 4%, some additional part-time staff within the Department of Public Works, the new school resource officer, which adds to the police department's budget, also accounts for retiring utility building department clerk. So all that's kind of accounted in this summary. Some good news, since the work session, we did finally get our report from MERS, rather than going through that entire document. So we have, again, increased our percent funded, so we went from 96 to 97% funded, so we continue to make progress on that. I can provide this to the council as a hard copy or digital, just let me know so you can read all the fun details in there. As far as the actual different accounts, I did type them out below here as far as the fund summaries. The two at the top, the general pre-2012 and police 2012, so these are the full pension ones. You can see those are not, the percent funded is not as high because it's a longer term obligation. We were still catching up on those, so when we did that transfer earlier this year, we got them to 80%. We're still making progress on those, so 83.5 and then 83%. You can see those post-2012, so those are the two hybrids. One of them is actually overfunded, and then the other is just under at 97%. So that also includes the millage reduction, so it's still making gains on our pension and healthcare obligations long-term. The last part of my presentation just pulled out some of the major funds so that you can see our fund balance history. So you can see with the general fund, even just looking at the general trend here, so since 2015, continuing to increase in the fund balance history, taking a little dip in the last year because we're spending some of those cash reserves to do those extra projects. So that will go down slightly. Major street fund, we had used a lot of funds for several major projects in the last couple of years. We did a recovery year last year, so going into this year we do have a little bit of an increase again. Same general trend for local. So these projects go, or these funds go up and down depending on the major projects that you have. You can see that we've recovered, and again we'll end up in kind of a positive, even though our operating surplus for the year is a deficit, but we still have increasing fund trend upward. Sewer fund, so this is a large fund, millions of dollars, but again, this is pipe in the ground and the infrastructure itself. So even when we do major projects, this does not change that much. This is also the fund, if you remember when Eric comes every year to talk about the audit, he says, watch this one because it just continues to go down. Part of this is because we're not doing a lot of new sewer projects, and so as that fund, all those infrastructure amenities depreciate, that value continues to go down. So at some point, until you have an influx of cash or a large project, that just continues to trend down. Water fund, which we do implement some larger projects on, you can see we expended quite a bit when we took on the USDA project, leveled out, and now we're increasing for the water fund again. And then garage and equipment fund, after we restructured that the last couple of years, we've been able to recover our net position for that. So this will allow us to save up for some other equipment coming in the future. So if we're looking at a plow truck, which is still several years down the way, but that's going to be $350,000, $400,000. So we want to keep our eye on that. Budget also includes our ongoing debt obligations. Again, we have 3 of them. The front-end loader, which will end next year, so small payments left on that. Fire station bonds, which are then repaid by the fire district. So the city actually holds the bonds, pays those, and the fire district pays those back. They are talking about possibly paying off that bond. I don't know the status of that, but we've got final numbers. That lasts until 2028 otherwise. And then the big water system project, which is ongoing, that was a 40-year bond. So that one will be on the books for a little bit. But we will retire the other one next year and then see what happens with the fire district. Last item associated with that, with the budget document itself, is the fee schedule. So no proposed fee changes at all. Remember, the council, after the last water and sewer rate study, approved a minor increase just in water. Sewer rate stays the same, 2%. So that was already approved, so no fee changes for this upcoming budget year. This is not only available online, we also have hard copies available on City Hall for public to review. The last 2 items that I have are just the resolutions themselves. So the council, as the public hearing closes, has 2 resolutions. 2023-06, which is approval of the tax rate, so the 16.15 mils. And then the second one, -07, is the actual approval of the city budget. I have, unless the council has questions.
Before we open it up to the public, any questions or comments from the staff and from the council? This is a public hearing, so if you have any public comments, you make it easy. If there's no public comments, then if we could have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'm looking to close the hearing.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we can move on to 8E and 8F. Jeff?
Okay, so E, Resolution 2023-06 is approving of the fiscal year 2023-24 tax rate. So this is for approval of levying a tax rate of 16.15 mils, decreasing it from 16.4 mils.
I move that we approve resolution 2023-6 for the tax rate of the fiscal year 2023-2024.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman McGuire?
Yes.
Councilwoman Newhoff?
Yes.
Councilman Hires?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders?
Yes.
Mayor Longman?
Yes. Number 8F.
Resolution 2023-07, adopting of the fiscal year 23-24 city budget. So that is to adopt the budget as presented. I guess just one caveat, as you remember, after this is adopted, then we finalize the fiscal year. Shortly thereafter, we will do a budget amendment just so that it ends the last fiscal year. As of right now, this includes both end of current fiscal year and adoption of the next fiscal year. So it's to approve that the budget that was presented.
I move that we approve Resolution 2023-07, resolution adopting the fiscal year 2023-24 city budget.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Newhall?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGuire?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wonders?
Yes.
Councilman Hires?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keel?
Yes.
Mayor Woman?
Yes. Number 9 in the agenda is public comment. This is open public comment. Again, please limit your comments to 3 minutes and use the microphone, please. We have 2 9s, Jeff. We're doing good. Let's go to
I
the
was
second.
hoping somebody would do my report.
Let's go to the second 9, Jeff. City manager update.
City manager's update. The only item that I have this evening, again, kind of the social district, so there will be some activity to finalize that. The plan is to meet with the businesses next week and kind of formalize, again, part of that is the maintenance and operation of that social district because they have to take responsibility for that. Tables, chairs, trash cans, all of that is being delivered currently. We're waiting on public or printing of the signs, get those installed and do the demarcation. We're also waiting for some final insurance updates from the businesses and some kind of minor last items, so we'll get together with them. As part of that, with all that going on, I'm also trying to take a couple days off at the end of this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have to use up some days before the end of the fiscal year, so we'll get that taken care of. And I think that's it, because the other 2 items are on the work session this evening.
Any questions for Jeff?
Can you talk just for a moment about what your vision is for the alley in terms of tables and chairs and that sort of thing?
So we're going to start off with, there's a mix of kind of cafe tables and chairs and bigger tables and chairs. If you've been or driven by Fetch, that's similar style. So some round tables, some rectangular tables, small cafe chairs. It's Melissa, she's right there. Like 20 chairs, something like that.
We ordered a few extra chairs just so people can slide them up to the end table and stuff. But yeah, I think there's like 6 or 8 tables, different sizes, and 30 chairs.
30 chairs.
Roughly.
So kind of spread those along the corridor. We're looking at some umbrellas that will probably happen next fiscal year. Concerned with umbrellas, we need to make sure they're durable enough, and also the businesses, if there's one outside their business, they're responsible for making sure it's up and down so it doesn't get blown away. Trash cans are ordered. Those will be scattered along the sections. The intent with the businesses participating in the operations is I'm assuming they each take a section, and every morning they go out, make sure it's clean, tables are wiped off, garbage is picked up. Over time, then we do already have the string lights to go back and forth across the alley. A couple businesses have expressed interest in painting some additional murals. We have some funds for like bigger planter boxes for trees or flowers, etc. So it will kind of progress as things develop here.
So the social district can be used during the day. The alley
Yes.
can be used. The alcohol sales for it don't start till 5.
5.
People can take a picnic lunch out there. It's open.
Yep.
Great.
Other questions?
Think there's going to be a black market on the glasses?
I hope not.
Robust resale business.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Jeff? Number 10 is message and communication from myself and council members. Susan?
A couple things. You know, you make this budget look very easy. And as far as I can tell, you run the highlights by us and keep us informed all year anyway. But I have done this before, and this is such a cumbersome thing. There's so much in this, and I just want to thank all the staff and the people who are involved in putting this together, because you really do make it smooth and clean. thank you for that.
Okay, thank Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa. As part of our trap, neuter, return initiative, we are also able to get kittens out of their street life and into foster care. And you'll be happy to know we have the first 6 that will be available for adoption in about 3 weeks. So if you're interested, let me know. They're all being fostered at this point by Lisa Bush, who lives here in Montague, and they are under the umbrella of what was formerly called the Muskegon Humane Society, now Big Lake. So they will be vaccinated, neutered, healthy, all checked over, incredibly human bonded, because we got them at 4 weeks. You can either talk to me or you can go right to the website and put an application in on the website. They are adorable.
Lisa?
I just want to say kudos for bringing the tax rate down again,
Yeah.
the second time in 3 years.
Yes.
Good job.
Laura?
I would just encourage everybody, if you get the chance, to review the master plan. That's gonna be out for the public to look at. Comments, I mean, that's the only way that we know what you guys want, is to hear back from you. So I encourage everybody and spread the word to take a look at it and please provide input.
The only thing I have is we have a solid waste meeting tomorrow, and it will be here, and there is mainly to do with the budget. Number 11 on the agenda is adjournment of this meeting. There will be a short 2-minute break, and then we'll go right into the work session. So if we could have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Short 2-minute break. Meeting is adjourned. Order. 2A.
All right, 2A, ABM Proposal Memorandum of Understanding. ABM Building Solutions has been working in the Midwest and now is kind of focusing on Western Michigan. They stopped by. They've also had some discussions with Meadery Public Schools. Recently learned they did a project with North Muskegon Schools for LED light conversion. What they're proposing is to do an initial evaluation of some of the city properties. There is no financial commitment from the city for this first phase, the memorandum of understanding. They'll look at multiple facilities. I think on the second page here of that, it talks about some of the programs and solutions offered by ABM. So I listed that, I just did a screen clip here of what some of those were. The ones that kind of interested me coming out of this is obviously evaluating City Hall and Police Department just as a general building evaluation, looking at Department of Public Works because both buildings are older facilities, but also to mention that they do some other infrastructure projects because we obviously have street lighting, landscape programs, projects, and roads. I don't know what that means as far as their program. It sounds like what they try to do is match up a given project or infrastructure activity with cost savings. And you can utilize those savings to pay for the project. They help to front the project cost, and then you pay them back through those savings, through agreement. Regardless, the first stage of this is kind of that discussion point of saying, here's what we would like them to look at. They start that evaluation, and then the next part is to then take that report and see what activities would move forward. Again, there's no financial obligation for the city with this initial, but wanted to get council's thoughts on entering into something like that as far as evaluating facilities, other activities. The one that obviously we don't have a turf field or an athletic field, but they have actually done a turf field conversion and done the savings on that. I'm sure it's watering, fertilizer, maintenance costs to pay for turf conversion. So they obviously are thinking a little bit outside of the box for different infrastructure, for different facilities. And it kind of opens up that discussion with them.
What did you say about cost, John?
For this first phase, the memorandum of understanding, there's no cost. So we designate the facilities, or these are some items that we want them to look into. So let's say street lighting, or even like a street maintenance project. So if we do this, what's our cost savings? How do we pay for that outside of our normal budget activities? The cost comes if you actually enter into a contract based on that. And from their side of things, it's the contract performance activity. So if you don't get the savings, then you don't have to pay those amounts until you guarantee those savings. This is a little bit more common in kind of energy efficiency activities because there's clear measurement, which is why something like a turf conversion found interesting. I can see how they might work that in there. But in talking with Terry, the gentleman who came to the city, and so that sometimes it's just talking through what's that infrastructure you want to look at. So maybe that's chip and seal for a larger section of the city streets and seeing what the cost savings would be and how do they help to finance those activities.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Not that it's confidential information, but just curious why last 2 years of audited financial reports, why do they need that to do this? I mean, it's not, they're public, but I thought that's weird.
I think what they're trying to do is to see what our current financial obligations are. So let's say, again, streets, what are we currently expending on chip and seal for local and major streets or major project costs? So because it's audited and they have a firm number versus just staff saying, oh, we spend 100,000 on.
And another thing, so let's say they do this, say you can save money by doing this and this, and then we go, okay, bye. We're gonna go over here to this guy and have him do it.
That's fine.
We can do that. We don't
Yeah.
have to go through them or be in this contract with them
Nope.
forever or something.
No, the kind of behind the scenes on this MOU, there is some language that's sent to the city attorney. He's kind of looked at it and said there's no obligation to move past that report. So once they give you the report, we can say, thanks for the report, it doesn't work. They may also start looking at stuff and say, that's just not going to work, we're not interested. So it's kind of no obligation on both sides.
So we can go to bid or something.
Yep.
We aren't locked into what they tell us to do. They don't control us or what
Correct.
we do. Okay.
Yep.
Do they look at all those items, or they want us to identify which ones we want?
These were just examples. So it's entirely up to the city and staff to say, we really want you to look at these, because we don't know, what might be some cost savings, or like buildings are a little bit easier because you can look at energy costs, those sorts of things. But some of the other items we just identify. We really want to figure out what to do with road maintenance. Does that make sense? And they'll evaluate that for us.
Is it possible to identify the top 5 or 10 or whatever that are the most outdated or expensive for us?
We can. Yep.
What type of history do they have? Is it a new company, an old company?
It's an old company. They are actually throughout the United States. They, like I said, they're kind of moving into the Midwest. They do a lot of work on the East Coast. Then they were kind of in, plain states of the United States, and now they're kind of moving back to this area. So they've had a focus in major cities, and now they're looking at kind of smaller municipalities and schools are where they're focusing.
I think it's a public trading.
ABM, yeah.
Other questions or comments? So I think you're looking for whether we should proceed or not, Joe?
Yeah, just to get some input from council if they think it's a good idea. We could even do an initial memorandum for just a couple activities and just to see how that works, and then have them come back and evaluate other things. There's no rush on timeline on getting this approved, so even over the next month, if you have some ideas, hey, could you, as part of that, have them look at street lighting or streets or water infrastructure?
It'd be nice to have a list of what we want them to look at before we actually sign on the dotted line.
Yep.
So, What's your comments, your thoughts? Proceed, no proceed?
I think it could be some useful information.
Huh?
Yeah, I think moving forward.
Jerry?
Yeah, I move forward, I just think we need to narrow it down before we actually
Okay. Susan?
I think we move forward, and I think you know this better than we do, so let me just say, do what you think seems logical.
Is that what you need, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay. 2B.
Okay, 2B, transfer of on-premise tasting room permit, Bardic Wells Meadery, so included in your packet was an initial license for doing that transfer. We have Brendan here this evening, opportunist. So he's looking to purchase Bardic Wells Meadery, the business, from Steve Hasted. So it's an operation down here, 8844 Water Street. Steve started it across the street where North Grove is now, then moved down to his current facility. Has been operating it for, Brendan, 10 years, something like that?
16 years altogether, maybe 10 in that location, yeah.
Okay. So Brendan is going through the process of purchasing. Because it is a transfer, the council would need to formally approve the transfer. Since this is a work session, this is your chance to ask any questions you have of myself or Brendan, kind of that process. It sounds like this is the first step that kind of finalizes some dominoes for doing that final transfer. As part of that, associated but also not necessarily the city, as the DDA has a revolving loan fund with the business, that also part of that transfers with this as well. So it's full obligation for taking over the business.
The DDA loan would transfer also, is that what you said?
Portion of it, yeah.
Okay. Comments, questions, thoughts?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What's that?
No
Okay.
comments?
So that's the next one. So that'll be for formal action at the next meeting.
During the work session, number 3 is public comment. Again, this is open public comment. If you would like to make any comments, please let me know. If you'd like to use the microphone. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Okay. Number 4 during the work session is a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Work session is adjourned.